Hey everyone, Chris here. I just wanted to take a quick moment and say our hearts and thoughts go out to the family of Brian Sullenberger. He was the founder of the Diamond Knot Brewery, one of the great breweries here in Washington State that we're fortunate enough to have. And he passed away recently after just celebrating 15 years of success with the Diamond Knot Brewery. So the crew here at Jupiter Broadcasting would like to dedicate this episode of Beer is Tasty to Brian Sullenberger and his family. Hello everybody and welcome to this episode of Beer is Tasty. My name is Chris.
And I am Jeremy.
Now this is a very special Beer is Tasty.
Very.
First of all, Jeremy's not Brian.
That's right.
Nope, Brian's lady had to have some surgery and he's at home taking care of her today. But
That's right.
Another reason it's a special episode is you might notice this big sucker right here. Oh, and we're back in the kitchen.
Yeah.
We tried to every 10 episodes and change, we try to do a cooking with beer segment.
That's right.
So, and realizing that when you drink a beer, you get kind of lazy. We figured we wanted to keep it simple. So we're doing beer steak in the crock pot.
That's right.
Everybody's busy these days.
Let me tell you, right off the top, this smells wonderful.
Yeah, you walk in, you get a whiff.
Yeah.
You get a whiff. And the nice thing about the crock pot is you just turn it on, you let it go all day when you're at
You
work
don't have
or whatever.
to babysit it. You don't have to stick
And
around
you get
at all.
home and then you've got beer steak in here. And well, frankly, beer steak sounds delicious. So I'll show you a little bit of how this was put together before we go ahead and eat it. But before we go too much further, we'll also be pairing this with a beer, like we do when Beer is Tasty, just in case you're new.
Kind of what the show's about.
Kind of is the main thing about the show.
Right.
So we went out, we got some new beers today, and these are the first I've ever had. I think they're new. They're from Budweiser, and they're the Budweiser Golden Wheat. You see that there? Golden
It's not just
Wheat.
Budweiser, it's Bud Light.
Yeah, so it should be good for you. It's got wheat in it, and it's light. So
That's
means,
right.
That means I think those are all healthy things right there.
Yeah.
Right?
And we love Bud Light.
So yeah. Yeah. But it's a cheap beer, and we could only buy it in, was it a 24-pack or a 12-pack?
12-pack.
All right, so the smallest quantity we could find it was in a 12-pack. So that tells you something. Now, it doesn't say it's a wheat ale. You might notice that.
That's right.
Nowhere on here it says...
It just says Golden Wheat.
Yeah, I think Budweiser is technically its own type of brew.
That's right.
So that's why they can get away with
Now,
that.
it's only 4.1 ABV.
There you have it.
That's pretty wimpy.
So pretty weak, but kind of traditional with... actually, I think... Is it normal Budweiser 4.7?
It's not that high. It's one of the lower.
It's in the 4s, and
Yeah,
so
yeah.
this is in there too. So we'll see.
Smells like Budweiser.
Does it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Yep.
All right, so it's kind of got
boy.
a cloudy complexion. I'll take this up to the camera to show the folks
You do that.
at home.
The longer we
See-
can stall here before I actually have to put this in my face.
Yeah. See, it's all right.
There's crud in this.
Is there?
Yeah, check that out.
Oh, there is crud.
It's got all sorts of floaties.
It does have floaties. Oh man, I wonder if I got some in the bottom of the bottle here. I better add those in here, make sure I get all the goodness.
Woo, doggy. I love beer that you have to chew.
Look at that. That does look like a meal. Oh yeah, I swirled at the bottom and I added more cloud factor. There's
Yeah.
like
Oh, I'm not looking forward to this at all.
like you've seen those tanks at like science centers and stuff where there's clouds inside the water? Yeah, that's what's going on here. That is cloudy stuff. All right. So before we try this, I'll play a little footage on how the beer steaks were made, and then we're going to pair this beer with the beer steak. Okay, here, let's start with our most important ingredient, and that's going to be, of course, the beer. Now, I'm using the Red Hook Copper Hook here that we had from a couple episodes ago. You could use anything. In fact, I've even had great success with some cheaper beers. It seems, as long as you get that core essentials, it's what matters. But I wanted to go a little fancier, so I went with the Red Hook, and just add it to your medium to large-sized crock pot. It depends on how much meat you're cooking, really. But I went ahead and I added the whole bottle here. You eventually maybe take yourself a little pull first from the bottle if you wanted to. Now, for a little seasoning and flavoring, you use, at least I recommend, you could also try fresh onions, but I like the overall flavor this provides. And that's these onion soup packs here. You can just add one pack to your beer that's already in your crock pot. Now, you notice I'm wearing a robe. That's an important thing to note, is you probably want to be really comfortable. It's a key thing to this. All right, so you're welcome for knowing that. All right, so you add the onion mix to the crock pot. And also, once you've added it, give it a good stir. And if you've got any kids in the house, make sure they're around for this part, because this is the fun part for the kids, because it makes kind of a fizzling, sizzy noise that sounds like maybe the beer's about to explode. And kids love that, of course, because it involves potential danger. All right, so the other thing I'm going to do is, because I'm going to do 2 steaks and mine's kind of wide, I'm going to add a second bottle of beer. You may or may not just see if, use your spoon or something and see if it's going to cover the steaks mostly when you put them in there. Now, for our core ingredients here, I'm going to do a little bit of minced garlic, some crushed red pepper, and some ground black pepper for a little kick. And if you want to make sure you got some beef taste, you've also got bouillon cubes here. That's up to you. I'm not going to add them to mine, but you might want that. All right, so throw in some garlic here. And if you like garlic, use a lot. If you don't use any. Just flavor to taste. Now also, if you want a little heat, a little background flavor, add in some red pepper flakes. I really do recommend this, even if you just want to do a little bit. It adds a layer of complexity, I think, that really makes it extra tasty. And then, of course, the ground pepper. If you can do freshly ground pepper, that's ideal, but if not, add a little pepper in there. I think it adds some good kick to it, and also kind of brings in a little heartier flavor to it. There's just something about something that's cooked with ground black pepper that's very tasty. Now add your steaks in there. And you notice mine aren't fully being covered, but they're floating a little bit too. And now mix them in there. Make sure you get all your sauce in there completely mixed up and covered. And then, of course, kids, I want you to be sure to wash your hands after you do this. But I'm just placing them in there and making sure that they're nice and submerged, because they're going to be cooking here for a while. Put the lid on your crock pot, set it for at least 6 hours, and you're set. All right, so basically the main point of all that was just make it to taste. That's what I do. This was a recipe I kind of came up with the last minute, so hopefully it tastes pretty good. It smells good. It
smells great.
You got to figure that means something.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Now,
set this guy off.
I do want to mention, though, that it's been cooking here probably a little bit longer than we would have liked to.
Probably, and it started to break up a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, to complete
I'm sure it's still going to taste great.
And keeping things easy, I've got this. Have you seen this stuff? It's this Rice Express, and you cook it for 2 minutes, and it comes in a bowl. And
just regular white rice?
It's just regular white rice, and you peel this off, and it's sticky rice kind of. It's kind of a stickier rice in there. Anyways, 2 minutes in the microwave. It's actually not bad rice. I figured we'd throw this in there just to up our fancy. It ups the fancy, but doesn't, up the work effort. Because just throw it in there.
I mean, who wants to work?
Nobody wants to have to work.
Yeah.
All right. Here's a
wow.
little rice.
That looks terrible.
Here's a little rice, so you can take more.
Meh.
I don't need all that rice. Here.
I'm not going to eat all this anyway. I don't care.
It's mostly for display, really.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that looks great. Doesn't that look great, ladies and gentlemen?
It is actually pretty good rice. You give it a
It looks like white, lumpy Jell-O.
Well, all right. Okay. So now, oh my gosh. I'm going to have to get a spoon.
Apart?
I got to get a spoon.
This is one of the downfalls of crock pots, though. If you cook too long, it just becomes like a stew.
It does, but sometimes it's tasty still. We'll see. I mean, it's got 2 bottles of beer in here.
2 bottles.
So there's your...
Well, thank you,
No knife needed on this stuff.
No, it'll probably just disintegrate when you look at it wrong.
Yep. So...
Oh, there it went.
Careful. I don't have enough steak to just keep staring at it.
All right.
So I'm going to fish a little bit out here. See, it's coming out in pieces.
Right. They were steaks.
Yeah. They were, as you saw in the footage earlier, they were full steaks.
Yeah.
So here's kind of my end piece here.
We're going to try the food first, right?
I don't know. What do you think?
Well, typically, I don't know if you've seen this show before, Chris, but usually you try the beer first.
Yeah.
And then you see how it goes with
Do you think we should try the steak first? Just to change it up a little bit?
It is a very special episode.
It is a special episode. All right, let's do it.
All right.
So let's see. Now, this should be
Plus,
pretty tasty.
the steak looks a lot better than the beer smells.
This should be pretty darn good. And see, you got a little rice in there, too. So, all right.
Go ahead.
Let's see how the first beer steak from the crock pot turns out.
I'll try to talk a bit while you shove that in your face so that people at home can have something to watch.
Oh.
This is like almost a roast texture because it's been crock potted for
very
so long.
much so. But it's New York steak.
Wow.
That's really good. I really like that. I mean, it's, it is kind of a roast texture. You nailed it. It does kind of have, but from a New York steak. So the moral of the story is with that, I just got some of the red pepper. The moral of the story with that is I could have used a lot cheaper piece piece of meat.
That pepper really comes back to you after a second.
And I didn't need to use New York strip steaks for this. I could have used a much cheaper meat, save myself some money, and probably have the same result.
There you go.
This is so cooked down.
Be lazy again. Right. This time allow your wallet to be lazy.
And cheap.
Yeah.
And boy, once you start talking those kind of numbers, that's the kind of math and
now that I know that the food is so lazy and cheap, maybe this lazy cheap beer will go well with it,
Yeah.
I'm just going to eat another piece of steak though. This is really good.
It's pretty good. You know what?
And the rice. isn't as terrible as it looks.
And it's not, right?
No.
it's
It's still got just a little tiny bit of crisp to it, so it's not just...
it's not perfect rice for sure. But
No.
it took 2 minutes, you know. It's funny though. The box that rice comes in says minute rice, but it takes 2 minutes.
2 minutes?
Yeah.
False advertising.
Even on the packaging that the container comes out on. But then right there it says, see look, ready in 1 minute.
1. This would not have been ready in 1 minute.
No, and then so it says ready in 1 minute, and then it says over here microwave for 1 to 2 minutes. But if you microwave it for 1 minute, it's
That
horrible.
wouldn't have been ready.
No.
No.
All right.
Well, maybe we shouldn't support the, what is that, Annie Chun's rice anymore?
Nah, I buy it off Amazon.
We won't be doing that anymore.
Really good. Let's see how it goes with the beer.
Of course. Now, this beer also has citrus flavors in it. I think it's a light beer brewed with coriander and citrus peels. So besides being chunky and weedy, and I think
Coriander is cilantro.
it is.
I learned that
It's a
from-
piece of it.
From editing when I had to go look up the definition. All right. It was only a piece of the cilantro. See, I just learned more.
Well, it's not the least. I think it's the seeds. Don't quote me on that.
Okay. It definitely has a distinctive Budweiser taste in that kind of like, it tastes like I just drank it from a can even though we poured it out of a bottle. It's more complex than I expected it to be,
Yeah.
but it's not
This is
necessarily
actually
good.
No.
It's not bad though. It's better than I expected it to be.
And it's better than regular Bud by a pretty large margin. It's actually got flavor to it. It's not just yellow water.
Yeah.
It's over carbonated though. I really don't like that.
And the
in a
thing I'm
beer.
getting the most taste-wise is the citrus.
Yeah.
I get that
Definitely.
the most. I think it's got a very strong citrus taste to it. The
Now-
coriander, I don't know. I couldn't tell you if I'm tasting that or not.
We might have let this sit too long. It's a cloudy beer.
I don't know.
It might have settled a bit while we were doing the beer footage and eating the steak.
I don't know.
You think it's still...
Because people don't plow through a beer in 5 minutes, you know?
No, but I think, well,
Who else
what
did
do
they
I
do?
know? I'm just a guest star.
I think, no, I think it's in its prime. It's not overly chilled either. Like, we didn't chill it up too high.
No, that's true.
But it is chilled. So I think it's actually probably in the sweet spot. It's in the zone, the beer zone.
You know, as beers go, as Budweiser beers go,
If Budweiser beers go,
pretty high.
yeah, I mean, they had the American Ale, which we rated okay. This, I'm thinking I would definitely pick, and it's light. Now,
Really light.
But I mean, it's supposed to be calorie light, right?
Oh,
Isn't that what the Budweiser light means? It's like not as bad for you. It's
Yeah,
still
it's supposed
bad.
to be lower on fat, I believe.
Yeah, okay.
Lower
It's
on
got
fat
100,
calories.
110 calories and 8.3 grams of carbohydrates. So that doesn't seem that light. 110 calories. That's about a can of pop.
Yeah.
Ooh, boy, it is.
It's got a bit of a weird aftertaste, kind of almost chemically.
It's super carbonated too.
It is. I really, that really kind of turns me off of it.
You can tell Budweiser artificially carbonates their beer.
Yeah.
The whole thing is you can to churn beer out a little faster. You can artificially carbonate it by adding the carbonation, or through the actual just the malting process and the brewing process of the beer. It'll generate its own carbonation
Right.
as the yeast breaks things down and all that kind of.
That's
crap.
what you get in most beers.
That's
Most
right.
non-mass
And
produced.
So the carbonation isn't necessarily added. It's
I'm going to
created
go ahead and
through
try
the
this
process.
with the steak.
All right. Now this is definitely carbonation added. It's like when you get a Sprite or a Diet Dr Pepper and it's super carbonated. That's what this is, only for beer. It's not like as carbonated as one of those. It's probably my least favorite thing about it though, because a little smoother and it'd be a little more of a
I
mellow
agree.
beer. Yeah.
It goes well with the steak. It's not washing it away, so you still maintain that.
You get a little steak factor.
Yeah.
Right.
It's light enough that it doesn't overpower. Doesn't really add anything. Not really, in my opinion. It doesn't really add anything.
And it's not conflicting with the Red Hook that I made the steak with.
That's a good thing, I guess.
This is an expensive 2 bottles of Red Hook and 2 New York strip steaks. I could have done that a lot cheaper.
Yeah,
I could have gone like MGD and a couple of sirloins and call it good or whatever. Beef, even beef stew would probably work, but
Yeah.
maybe that's why it's so good, because it is good quality stuff. People,
Maybe.
you got to think of that. All right, so that's this very special episode of Beer is Tasty. I say we should rate these things. We'll give these things a grade rating, and I'm going to probably say C+. If I'm thinking of it for a Budweiser, I'll give it a B-.
Yeah, just in terms of being a Bud.
Right.
I think I agree with you right off on both.
But as an overall beer, It's in the C
No, I
range.
think as an overall B, I'm going to go with a straight up C. This is really average.
Yeah,
it's not offensive,
Yeah.
Except the carbonation. I really don't dig that.
But I wonder if we let it sit for a little bit, if some of that carbonation will
yeah, if you
air
let
out.
this just go flat, maybe it'd be a great beer.
Maybe if you rebrew it, let the natural carbonation get in there. All right, so that wraps up this episode of Beer is Tasty. If you've got any questions about this, or a correction, or want to make a beer suggestion, there's a couple different ways you can do it. You can head over to the forum at jupitercolony.com. There's a section in there just for Beer is Tasty. And of course, we've also got the donate button over on the right-hand side of jupiterbroadcasting.com.
If you want to recommend a beer for us to review, that's where you do
Send
it.
us a little beer cash through that mechanism, and in there you can leave a note as to which beer you want us to get. And then we go out on a mission. We've got a couple of more episodes coming up, and 2 of the beers in the upcoming episodes.
2 of them.
2 of them. Whoa! Are via donation request.
That means that this show is controlled by you.
Whoa.
I know.
That blows my mind. If you think it blows your mind, head over to jupitercolony.com and let us know.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, that wraps up this episode of Beer is Tasty. Jeremy, thanks so much for filling in.
Absolutely.
Cheers. All right, not bad. I'd drink another one.
Yeah, probably. It's more of a summer beer, I think.
Yeah, it is weird it came out at this time.
Yeah.
Those idiots at Budweiser, they don't know anything about beer.
I give the steak an A because it was made with love.